Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker, and we're going to solve an equation, but this is a different type of equation. This is what we call a literal equation. We call it a literal equation because it has several variables in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to solve for one of the variables. If you read it, you see it says k equals 5r minus 11s. This equation has three different variables in it. It's got variable k, variable r, and variable s. All right, that's not a 5. That's a lowercase s right there. All right, so if we want to solve for r, don't think of this as any more difficult than a typical equation that only has one variable. You're trying to isolate r by itself. So that means you got to get rid of this 5 and you got to get rid of this negative 11s. Right? Now you could think of it as negative 11 and s, but you don't need to separate these two. You can keep this as one term. All right? So we want to isolate r. Now, first thing I would do is I would get rid of this negative 11s. And then I'd have 5r by itself. Once I got 5r by itself, then I just gotta get rid of 5. But I do this in a step-by-step manner. Right? So how do I get rid of negative 11s? I do the opposite operation. The opposite of subtracting 11s is adding 11s. So I'm gonna do plus 11s. On the right-hand side, I'm gonna do plus 11s on the left-hand side. Why? Why am I doing it on both sides? Because when I solve equations, I gotta be balanced. We gotta be balanced. When we solve equations, we have to be balanced. We can't just do something willy-nilly on the right side and not do it on the left side. We got to do the operation on both sides of the equation. So these cancel out. And now I got k plus 11s is equal to 5r. Now, I'm trying to solve for r. So I need to get rid of 5. I need to get rid of 5. Now the question is how? How do I get rid of 5? I divide, because 5r means 5 times r. I always do the opposite operation to eliminate something when I'm solving an equation. So I divide this by 5, and I also divide this by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So this leaves us with just plain r. And all of this over here, it doesn't change. It's just going to be k plus 11s over 5. And that's what we got. That's our final answer. All right. I know a lot of times when we get introduced to literal equations, they seem real difficult because it's like, oh, it's so many variables, so many variables. You do the same thing you would do as if it was one variable. Remember the focus and the goal. The goal is to isolate the variable. Isolate that r by itself on the side of the equation that it's already on. We wanted to isolate r, so we had to get rid of this, a negative 11s, and we had to get rid of 5. It was basically 2 steps. If you think about it, it was 2 steps. This was one step. This was the other step. And then we had our answer. All right, so that's how you solve literal equations. All right, so get some practice with those. I see y'all in the next video.